Hey, what's going on, everybody? RogersBase here. Welcome to another Super Smash Bros. Discussion, and today we're talking about some of the early results of the Smash Ballot that was announced a couple days ago. So joining me today are two of my buddies. First off, Twitter sleuth extraordinaire Stealth is joining me.
Howdy, thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. And I'm also joined by Japan Times lovable editor Mike. What's going on, Mike?
Vote for Bandana D.
So what you guys are seeing on screen right now are two lists of the early results that have kind of been floating around on social media over the course of the day. The one that you see on the left is the American early results, and the one on the right is the Japanese early results. And now it's probably hard to see on the pie chart from the Japanese one some of the names, so we'll just be talking to you guys about what it lists on there, and also some of the names that it lists on the American one as well. So guys, first and foremost, have you put in your votes yet for the Smash Ballot?
Of course.
All right, who did you vote for? Real quick. Only one person. The first person you voted for.
You want to go first?
I voted for Andy. I voted for Andy from Advance Wars.
I of course voted for Bandana D.
And I voted for Lanky Kong. So, which is very much trolly. That's not true. My first vote went to Wolf, and then after Wolf, I put in one for Lanky Kong. But I just think it's really interesting looking at both of these result charts, how high up King K. Rool is. King K. Rool is dominating the early results.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. No one really talked about him before the game except for like maybe a couple people. And now it seems like all the Kremlings came out of the woodwork.
Well, he has on that pie chart on the right, he says he has 11% of the vote, and he's actually the #1 highest ranked in terms of American rankings as well, which is really interesting to me. So we could just go down, I guess, both of these lists and talk about some of the most popular ones. I think first we should kind of name the ones that are on both polls, and that's Paper Mario, King K. Rool, Crystal, Ridley, Dixie, who are these other ones? Inkling, Gino, Bandana D, Rhythm Heaven, and Isaac. So and Daisy. Daisy's on both of them too. So I think all of those are pretty popular votes. I mean, I saw a lot of those even before the game came out, so I'm not really too surprised by some of those. But
some of those don't need to happen.
Yeah, looking at the American poll, some of these are like, what? Like, why is Machamp on there? Why is Machamp in the top 20 or 25, whatever, most voted for on the American polls? That's disgusting. Machamp should be way off of there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's some other ones that are on there that are pretty popular that I just kind of expected. Like, there's Captain Toad, Mock Rider, Lana. Zale's pretty high up there from Last Story, which is kind of interesting. Impa. The Inkling is really high on the American one, not so much on the Japanese one. And then we've just got like some weird ones in there, like Abe Lincoln from Codename Steam.
I don't know
which
who's
I
voting for that.
I don't know, but some guy is. He's on the American poll. And then even like we have things like Slippy, Groose, the dude from Fossil Fighters. They're all over the place right now. So I think it's interesting to note, too, that both of these polls left off characters that have been in previous games. So if you're looking at either of these lists and you're like, where's Wolf? Where's Snake? Rest assured, people I'm sure are voting for those characters, but they left them off the poll simply because like those characters will probably be added anyway. So maybe not Snake. I feel like Snake isn't coming back.
I feel like the only one...
Yeah, I just don't get the feeling for him.
Yeah, Wolf, I feel like Wolf is probably going to be the August DLC. So far we know that Mewtwo is coming in April, Lucas is coming in June. I'm assuming if they're going to go bi-monthly, August will be the next one. That'll probably be Wolf. And then they already announced that this poll ends in October, so it would kind of make sense to release the first character from this poll, probably the overwhelming like #1 choice in October.
Yeah.
And I think that'll probably be King K. Rool at this point.
Well, we don't know really, because it's only been 2 days.
That's true. True. But I mean, K. Rool is like
he is
over
crushing
this. Yeah, he's super crushing it. I mean, like, there's even like a whole separate Japanese campaign to get K. Rool in the game. There's tons of stuff for K. Rool. I know K. Rool had a really big following pre-Smash 4's release on Smashboards. There's like this enormous thread for King K. Rool. I think it's interesting though, looking at some of these first-party characters, because we'll get into third-party characters later. I think it's interesting that Crystal is so high up there still, too.
Yep, that's terrible.
I don't understand it.
I don't really get it either. I mean, I'm happy to see Slippy on the American one, because I think Slippy would be funnier, because he could just be kind of like a troll character, but yeah, I mean, Crystal is pretty high on both.
Yeah.
And just a question: what was the last game King K. Rool was in? Was that Mario Baseball on the Wii?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
That's the
hasn't
game
been in like a
everyone was
main
in.
Donkey Kong game, and yet he's like right up there.
I think maybe that will be the push he needs, though, to be in another Donkey Kong game. Because Nintendo still owns the IP for King K. Rool, despite what everybody says. K. Rool is still owned by Nintendo. All the things that were added to the Donkey Kong series by Rare, it's all part of Nintendo.
Speaking of Rare, should we talk about the other companies?
Oh, yeah, okay, so we can get into that. I'm sure you're going to bring up that tweet that Phil Spencer put out earlier today.
So, yeah, so a bunch of companies are like going like, "Hey, you should vote for our character." So, first off, I think the first one was maybe Yacht Club, I think.
Yeah, so Yacht Club was kind of like the first one to do it, but
So-
I think that makes sense because Shovel Knight was like the most requested for Omni's Smashified series.
Yeah.
People are loving Shovel Knight right
People
now.
love
Just like
Shovel Knight.
he's like the indie darling. If they're gonna add an
He's a
indie guy,
modern
Shovel Knight's-
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually remember they were pushing for Shovel Knight even before the game came out.
Are you serious?
Yeah, even like before Smash came out, they wanted him in. So now, like everyone is smelling like blood in the water with this poll.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that they have like support by the developers. I think that's kind of a good sign. Like we don't know if they're actually going to go for third parties. I hope they do.
I don't think third parties. I don't know. I think if a third party gets added, it'll have to be a third party that's very close to Nintendo. And actually, I feel like Way Forward and Yacht Club Games are in a very good position because
Yeah.
Nintendo would probably want to put a good like indie title in the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they could also see that maybe as an opportunity where like if
So,
Nintendo
yeah.
was really smart about it, acquisition that company and then make
Yeah, I
them,
mean-
like an official Nintendo character.
Yeah, Way Forward
I think
also tweeted out that they want Shantae in the game. They even made like recolors for her and everything.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they made a tweet
Yeah.
and it has like a bunch of costumes for her
Oh my gosh.
as the series emblem.
What were you going
I
to say,
actually
Stealth?
I actually think there's two ways to go with the third parties. You can go like the newer indie support that Nintendo's getting, or you can go the way they've been going with the classic, big Japanese giants like Konami or Square Enix.
Which
Sure.
would be obviously Bomberman and Chocobo.
Chrono or Slime. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about Chocobo. I feel like
Chocobo
Slime would have a
was-
better chance over Chocobo.
Chocobo was actually the most voted third-party character for the internal vote in Melee.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Chocobo.
Mm-hmm.
That's bizarre. I mean, I'm surprised because Chocobo is not even on the American listing.
Yeah.
I mean, during the time of Melee, I think Chocobo had a few games, even like the Mystery Dungeon stuff. So that made sense. But now that
Yeah.
game
I feel like
series
if
is canceled.
Square, it would probably be either Slime or I would say Sora, but no one seems to be caring about him.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up the fact that it'll probably be an indie or it'll be like a classic character, because I think a lot of people are looking at this the wrong way in terms of third-party characters. How I'm looking at it is they already have Sega and Capcom's approval for characters, right? They already have Sonic and they already have Mega Man and they already have Namco's approval too. So I would more or less expect another Capcom rep and another Sega rep before they introduce another third party if they're going to add anybody.
I don't think so.
Why don't you think so?
I just think that's disgusting.
Well, people want Knuckles. A lot of people want Knuckles.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, even Tails too. And on top of that, Monster
No,
Hunter
no
is
one
now
wants Tails.
basically no. Okay, well, Monster Hunter is basically a Nintendo franchise now, though. Like Monster Hunter has been on Nintendo systems since
sorry,
3. And on top of that, it's a huge franchise in Japan. I could see like the Feline or Cha-Cha getting added, or even like a Monster Hunter.
Well, the thing is, Monster Hunter devs don't want their characters in other games.
That's true. They specifically said they didn't want them in Marvel vs. Capcom, but
Mhm.
they had so much crossover with the new one that I feel like it would just be a natural progression. To at least if it was like a Feline or a Cha-Cha, you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, and here's a thought: how would you think about Professor Layton from Level 5?
Nope.
I mean, you don't even have to ask me that. Like, I mean, I did the Professor Layton Twitter account, so I mean, I would love Professor Layton. I just don't expect it. I really don't. I put out a tweet from Top Hat Professor where I was like, "A gentleman never campaigns for himself. Like, vote for me or whatever." But
Yeah.
beyond that, I mean, like, I would love Layton in the game. I just don't see it happening.
And also, there was one more tweet from a very old friend of ours.
Really?
Someone asked Phil Spencer, like they were like, "Hey, Nintendo's doing this poll for Smash
Oh,
Bros.
yeah.
DLC." He's like, Does Banjo have a shot?" And Phil Spencer's like, Well, yeah, we've worked with Nintendo on Rare IP before, and it's worked out fine. Like, I don't see why not. You should.
I will tell you 100%. There's 0% chance of that.
Are you
This is
sure?
Ridley 2.0. This is
Are you
Ridley
sure?
2.0.
I don't think
Because
it's 2.0.
why? In fact, yeah, I think it's actually less likely than Ridley.
No,
I feel
think
like
it's more likely.
it's more likely that they put Ridley
No.
in the game as a playable character
I think
and resize
I
him.
don't think you're looking at this the right way.
How so?
We got Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, and he says this publicly. He's like, "Yeah, I think that's fine."
Yeah,
I'm the
but
head
I
of
feel
Xbox.
like Phil Spencer would put that in there just to get people talking about Banjo again. So then when E3 comes along, oh wow, we have a Banjo game.
Exactly.
Big surprise.
Yeah, it's like Sony asking for like Nathan Drake in there just to promote.
Well, the
Uncharted.
difference is Banjo was originally a Nintendo character.
Well, of course he was, but he's
Yeah.
not anymore.
No, he's not anymore.
And if they were to put it,
technically, he is still because he had Banjo Pilot.
okay, yeah, but that doesn't count. But they had Banjo on Game Boy Advance too, Grunty's Revenge or whatever.
Yeah,
but that's
so
besides the point. There have been 4 Banjo games, 5 if you include Diddy Kong Racing. It's 5 that he's been on Nintendo platforms. So don't get me wrong, I would love Banjo-Kazooie to be in the game. Banjo-Kazooie is one of my all-time favorite games from my childhood. I would love Banjo-Kazooie. But what I'm saying is people should not get their hopes. Like, vote if you want. Vote. Get your vote out there.
I think you should definitely vote if you like
vote
Banjo.
yeah. But I don't think Nintendo would ever say, oh, sure, we'll add Banjo in and just give you free publicity for your upcoming Banjo titles. Especially with Project Ukulele coming out now. And that like them talking about they wanting to make like the Wii U their main headline console for that game. There's no way. Maybe
Nintendo might get more out of this than we think because they're gonna make Banjo amiibos and they're gonna make so much money off that.
No. The day they make Banjo, well, I don't know. People said this about Sonic being on Nintendo platforms, and then Sonic ended up on Nintendo platforms. So
yeah, exactly.
If that's the case, go ahead, Stealth.
No, I just think like even if Banjo won by like 10 million votes, Sakurai still has to know who he is and
Sakurai
care.
knows who Banjo is because Banjo was in the Melee polls too. Like when they polled for Melee, Banjo was really high up there.
Oh, he was in. Oh, I didn't know that.
And he was still owned by Nintendo at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know. That works in his favor, but I still feel like the whole IP thing is going to hold him back unless they make some deal comes out of this and Microsoft sells back the IP, which will never happen.
No.
Yeah, if that happened,
No.
That'd be news.
Yeah.
So I think let's get off third party real quick, but before we do, like I think the best third party is going to be the indies. I think they have the best shot.
I agree. I feel because they'll be cheap too.
Yeah.
They won't have to. The Yacht Club will just be like, take Shovel Knight, take Shantae, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll also be like, we'll make costumes.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll make a level.
We'll do all the work for you. Just give us the data.
Yeah. Just put
my
our
God.
name in the game.
Shovel Knight would be so sick though. Like Shovel Knight would be so good. Seeing Shovel Knight in 3D, and then if his stage, if they have the Plague Knight music, oh my God, that'd be so good. I'm so down for Shovel Knight.
I love Shovel Knight. The only thing that kind of, if Shovel Knight 2, we're all assuming that there is a Shovel Knight 2.
Right.
It just needs to be like a Nintendo exclusive for a while. I'm not sure how I feel about one game, being represented if it's not Nintendo.
That's true. But I mean, that's true. Yeah, if it's not Nintendo. But I was going to say the one game rule doesn't necessarily hold true for some of these that are on the American poll. Because you've got, like, who's that? Lana from Hyrule Warriors. You've got, who else is on here? Monita from Nintendo Land, which blows my mind that people are voting for Monita. Abe Lincoln? Like, first off, if you're voting for Abe Lincoln on the Smash Brothers poll, please do not ever associate yourself with me. I do not want a Codename Steam character in this game. Like, I adamantly do not want him in. It's not like a Ridley situation where I'm like, I don't think he'll be in. I just don't want a Codename Steam character in there. So,
I mean, not yet. It's not even a franchise.
no. I would rather have Harmonite in the game than Abe Lincoln. Easy. I'd rather have Mallow in the game.
I'd rather have that Yu-Gi-Oh guy right there.
Yu-Gi-Oh guy? What Yu-Gi-Oh guy?
Little fossil Minecraft guy.
Oh, little Fossil Hero? Well, Fossil Fighters at least has had like 3 or 4 entries in its franchise.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so Fossil Fighters could potentially happen.
Yeah,
But I mean, looking at some of these other ones on the American list, though, Sceptile, Blaziken, Howlucha,
we don't need any
Machamp.
more Pokemon.
I know.
No.
Like, don't put any more Pokemon in the game. Please, Sakurai, if you're listening. No more Pokemon. 6 is perfect.
It's a perfect
And
team.
6 within the context of the games makes sense. Yeah, because it's a perfect team.
Yeah, I also think 7 Mario entries is enough too.
Nope.
You know, because Mario and Pokemon are the highest selling Nintendo franchises.
Paper
They're
Mario.
perfectly represented.
Paper
Paper-
Mario.
Paper Mario could be cool, but I don't want
I
them
think
to-
he could technically be a separate series.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I also think it's interesting to note, did you guys notice in the first video where they showed how to vote in the ballot that they put in Cat Mario as their vote?
They
I think that was
probably
a
just
joke.
they probably just had to pick someone that no one would vote for.
Right, I'm sure. Yeah. But
'Cause
I
if they put,
noticed that
like-
and I was like, this is a little weird.
If they put like Ridley in there, people would have freaked out.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh my god, Ridley, what? I agree with you. I don't know, Impa would be really cool.
Impa would be amazing because it's very hard to find a Zelda character that's been in multiple games. You basically have Impa and you have Tingle.
Right, and Tingle's already
And-
an assist trophy.
Yeah, so basically you have Impa who could wield a big sword, and she could be like that original sword character that people want Ganondorf to be, but isn't.
Or she could play like how she plays in Hyrule Warriors, where
Yeah.
she uses like different elemental stuff like fire and water.
Yeah,
That would be.
I think she could be really interesting.
Yeah, I think Tecmo would actually like her to be in the game too if they're like developing a new Warriors game, because then it'll be like, hey, you like Impa? Check out Hyrule Warriors too.
Yeah.
Who haven't we talked about yet? Fawful? What do you guys think about Fawful?
Fawful would be great. I mean, if they're gonna add a Mario character, I want like a weird person like Wart or Fawful or like
Yeah.
someone out there. Gino D1. I know you're listening, man. D1 wants Gino so badly. Gino would be great. I'd love Gino.
If it has to be anyone, it has to be the Mustard of our Doom.
Fawful.
Yeah, who else? Isaac from Golden Sun.
Oh, so he's highly requested on both of them too. I feel like he's got a pretty good shot.
No, thank you.
You don't want Isaac?
I don't care for Isaac.
Just what? You don't care for the series? You just don't like him as a character?
I don't know. I don't know what he can bring to the table because I don't know anything about his games. I'm uninformed. I don't care about him. I don't care about his series.
I'm trying to see some of the other names on this Japanese poll. I can't, like, some of them are just way too small for me to make out. Like, I don't know who some of these are. I see Goemon on the Japanese one. He's not in the American one. But Goemon could be really cool. I'd like to see Goemon.
Too bad he's irrelevant
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's only had like 2 games here, and the last one was like N64.
Yeah. There's a lot of Donkey Kong representation on this, though. Like, King K. Rool, Cranky Kong, Dixie Kong, Lanky Kong. There's a lot of Kongs. And, I mean, I feel like that's a franchise that does actually need another rep.
It
If you
does.
got Kid Icarus has 3 reps in the game. If Kid Icarus has 3, Donkey Kong should certainly have 3.
And if Fire
I mean-
Emblem has 4, Kirby should have 4.
So yeah, well, you want Bandanity more than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I think King K. Rool fits like the big character and the villain
Yeah, I think so
that
too.
people want.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if we got one more, I would like Cranky Kong because he's awesome.
I would
Yeah.
rather have Lanky. I'd rather have Lanky over Cranky and Dixie.
Yeah.
I don't want a meme in my game.
Although I'll say this, how do you feel about Inklings, despite the fact that the game isn't even out yet?
Oh, put them in yesterday, please. Inkling
Yeah.
Inkling, I feel like when I saw the character design for that at E3, I'm like, oh, they designed this for a future Smash Brothers game. Like, because she looks perfect. The Inklings look perfect. They would match Super Smash Brothers World amazingly. I'm sure the level would be really cool with paint splattering all over the place. They could transform between like their squid form for certain attacks for their recovery. Inklings would be
Yeah,
perfect.
they could do like the squid
Yeah.
launch.
Yeah, Inklings would be perfect.
And let me talk about one character that I brought up, Andy from Advance Wars.
Yeah.
When I actually did the poll, I did the whole moveset. I went crazy.
Well, you
He
wrote out
fights
the
with-
moves.
Yeah, I did. He fights with his wrench, for one thing. He summons tanks and infantry, and his final smash would basically be his overflow, which he heals himself a little bit, and he also powers up his moves, which is I think is an original final smash.
That would be really, really cool. I'd love to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see any Advance Wars representation, even if it's not necessarily Andy. I'm
Could be
surprised.
Sammy.
Yes, I'm surprised Sammy isn't actually on either of these, because Sammy's always a popular Pokemon. What am I saying? I'm looking at stupid Halucha, and I'm like thinking of all the Pokemon. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Sammy's always been popular, so I wouldn't be surprised if she got in over Andy. But personally, if it was going to be any Advance Wars character, I would actually want them to use Will from Days of Ruin.
Interesting.
I don't think that's going to happen because that game I don't even think came out in Japan, except
It
for
didn't.
being like, oh no, actually, wasn't it a Club Nintendo game? Didn't it come out as a Club Nintendo game in Japan?
I'm not sure. I just know it didn't get like the full release.
Right, but I mean, Will would be great because that was more
Yeah.
like a gritty, dark Advance Wars game, and I don't know. I'd like to see Will, but I feel like Andy's the most recognizable.
All right.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is I would just be excited for any newcomer from a new franchise.
Definitely. Well, I think Inkling kind of fills that.
Yeah.
Let's back it up back to Kid Icarus. What do you guys think of Hades?
Hades is a fantastic character, but I feel like Sakurai, he's already given himself 3 characters. He's not going to do another one.
I don't know if that's given himself another character, or if that's given me another character, because Hades is awesome.
I love Hades. I'm not saying Hades is... What I think they should have done with Hades, though, is they should have put in Hades as Ganondorf, like using his moveset, and then made Ganondorf an original
That'd be
moveset
so
with 2
lame.
swords.
Yeah.
No, we had to give Black Shadow Ganondorf's moveset.
No, Black Shadow... Is Black Shadow even on the one for,
Yeah.
for Japan?
That's
He's
why I
on the
brought him
American
up.
list.
I know he's on the American list, but I didn't even see him on the one for Japan. I'm surprised Pooh is the only other Earthbound character on this list, too, because, Earthbound, that fan base is rabid. They want as many characters in as possible.
Yeah, if they would you rather have Ninten or Klaus?
Klaus, probably. I'd rather have Pooh over both of those, though.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel
What
like
about
Nintendo and
Gygus?
Klaus look... Oh, okay, well, he should be a boss.
Yeah.
Should make him a boss.
You know who I'm surprised was not on this list from a historical perspective was Nestor.
Yeah, a lot of people request Nestor online, at least on Twitter, but I'm not really too surprised that he's not on the
Not a
list.
video game character.
Yeah. He is important in Nintendo's history, though,
Not
so...
a video game character.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Respectful.
thinking.
Yeah,
It's like Rob isn't like a Nintendo character.
true.
Not a video
I think it's interesting that Rundus is the only Metroid character on here other than Ridley, because I never really thought of him as kind of like a Smash Brothers character. If you're going to add another Metroid character, I guess he's the only way to go. And I'm sure he would be cool to use a bunch of different ice moves, and he'd be kind of like a more gritty type of character. But I don't really see Rundus or any of the ones kind of like near the bottom of this showing up in the game. I feel like the ones that are on the top of both polls, things like K. Rool, Inkling, Crystal, Andy, Gino.
We haven't talked about that robot right there.
Robot? Which robot? Oh, Chibi Robo.
Chibi Robot, yeah.
Yeah, well, Chibi Robo got a lot of pre-release hype, and I don't think there's really been much acclaim for him recently. But I guess if he's at the top of this early result thing now,
Yeah.
maybe people want him.
So, Chibi Robo. What happened with him recently? He got a new game
Did he?
on 3DS?
He had a 3DS eShop game.
That's okay.
It's a little strange.
And I think it was more of a Pokemon Snap photo thing.
So you said the characters at the bottom don't have a chance, right?
So the ones that, I didn't say that. So don't come after me, video people. But the guy
not coming after
who
you
put
now.
together the American, the guy who put together the American poll, separated the new characters from the characters that are already in the game as assist trophies or as bosses. So he made a whole separate column for characters like Midna, Dylan, Takamaru, Waluigi, Skull Kid Shadow, Magnus, Tom Nook, Isabelle, Elecman, Tingle, Kamek, Ridley, Nabbit, KK Slider, and Girahim. You kind of had a weird stance on this, Mike, when we talked about this before we started recording, is you think that doesn't actually exclude them from being in the game.
I don't think so.
So how do you think they would go about replacing an assist trophy?
They're gonna do the Toon Link thing. When Toon Link's in the battle, he just won't appear in the background. Or in Assist Trophy's case, if you open up an Assist Trophy, they just won't come out.
So you'll get Alfonso instead?
No, they just won't show up in the rotation.
Because I feel like if that's the case, Isabelle has a very strong chance.
I feel like Isabelle would have the highest chance out of any of these, except
Yeah.
maybe Ridley. But Ridley is not gonna happen anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I
No.
feel like of these, Ridley and Isabelle definitely have the highest chance. And, Sakurai has admitted his stance on Ridley far too many times before, so I feel like he doesn't really stand one. I don't know, yeah, Isabelle is just too popular of a character right now. She has, her own merchandise set. She's, one of the first revealed amiibo cards for that new Animal Crossing game that's on 3DS.
I think Animal Crossing does deserve a second rep because that series is just taken off.
Yeah, it's a massive franchise. I would actually prefer KK Slider or Tom Nook.
KK
To be
is
honest,
a pacifist.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. So Isabel isn't exactly known for her fighting prowess.
Yeah, but
so like
she's not afraid to get rough though.
I would love if they're gonna put in Isabel though. I would love to like have her incorporate stuff from other games she's been in though. So like maybe have her ride in on like the moped from Mario Kart DLC and run over people. She could use a scooter move similar to Mona.
It's funny because if this was like the Wii game, I think they would have picked Tom Nook.
I think so
Isabel
too.
has just become a thing all to her own.
And Tom Nook is in Villager's Final Smash too,
Yeah,
and I agree
like,
with you. I feel like
Villagers
Isabel's
and he's
become her
also-
own thing.
Isn't
And
Tom
he's also
Nook,
in the stage too.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's okay for Isabel to be a character.
Yeah. That's going to be weird, though, if they end up really... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Nothing is confirmed. And again, to you guys watching this video, this has only been like, what, 2-3 days?
Yeah, we're really fresh in this.
Super fresh.
Who
so
cares?
We might
It's
have
exciting.
To... Oh, it's super exciting. Yeah, I mean, this is great for Japan time.
I mean, we basically went from no DLC to full blown-out DLC.
Yeah. So, curiously... I think we talked about this before we started recording, but I kind of want to end on this note. How many more characters do you think they're going to add total in terms of DLC? Because I have a number in my head.
I'll go first. I think after Mewtwo and Lucas, I think we're going to get 3. So I think we're going to have a total of 5.
5, okay. And what do you say, Mike?
4 or 5 after Mewtwo and Lucas. So
4 or 5 after Mewtwo. So you guys...
So 7 or 8 in total.
Stealth, what were you going to say, though?
No, I was going to say you also have to think about how it's going to fit in the character select screen. So
Right.
I'm just not thinking there's going to be enough space for like a whole nother row.
How many spaces would it take to make it a perfect rectangle?
4 after Mewtwo and Lucas.
4 after Mewtwo and Lucas. So that's... Okay, so my guess is going to be 6 total then. And that's including Mewtwo and Lucas. So 4 after Mewtwo and Lucas. I would say... Based on how it's kind of been announced, how this whole thing has been announced, I feel like Mewtwo is going to be April, already announced. June is going to be Lucas. I feel like sometime in summer during a Nintendo Direct, they're going to announce one for August, and that'll probably be Wolf, because he's the only remaining veteran character outside of Snake and like characters from Melee like Roy and Pichu and stuff that hasn't been brought back. Well, I guess other than Squirtle and Ivysaur too, but there's enough
Wolf,
Pokemon.
Personally,
I personally think Wolf has to be in because there's going to be at least one Star Fox character thrown in to promote the new Star Fox game, and I feel like Wolf would just make sense, and people want Wolf.
yeah.
Although I'll say this, will they give him a different Final Smash than Landmaster?
No.
Yes, yeah. I feel like if he comes back, he'll get a new... Especially if he's paid DLC, they'll give him Wolfen as his Final Smash. Yeah. I would put money on that, actually. I feel like his moveset would be exactly the same as Brawl's, but they would change his Final Smash to be Wolfen.
Nope.
That's my guess. And then I think 3 after that would be perfect. And I feel like the first one they would announce would probably be whoever they see on these results before October's over, who's like the far and away winner. And I feel like that could be K. Rool at this point. In these early rankings, it could be K. Rool. So I could actually see K. Rool as early as October.
Alright, so yeah, I'm going to make a prediction here.
Okay.
The 4 characters we're going to get, if we're going 4. Okay. I think 4 is a good number.
4 is a good number. Okay.
After
I'll go with
Mewtwo
you
and
on
Lucas? Alright, so the DLC characters we're going to get from the ballot is going to be King K. Rool, Inkling,
Yep.
Paper Mario.
That's interesting. I'm not going to say Paper Mario.
Alright, so Paper Mario. And Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight. Okay, weird. I'm going to say 4 too, and I'm going to say K. Rool, Inkling, K. Rool, Inkling. I'm gonna go out there, and I'm gonna say Isaac from Golden Sun.
That's what I'm going with too.
Yeah, I think Isaac from Golden Sun, and then I think if they're gonna bring in one third-party character, man, who would it be? Shovel Knight or Shantae? I feel I'm gonna go with Shovel Knight. My gut's telling me Shovel Knight.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you?
Alright, I'm also thinking it's going to be King K. Rool just because it just seems like an avalanche that can't be stopped at this point.
Yeah.
Inkling.
Yep.
I'm also going to go either Isaac or Andy. I don't think we're going to get both, but I just have a feeling we're going to get one of them.
Yeah, I think so too because they're both from like older franchises, but they're both new franchises to the series.
I'm also going to say people have been wanting a new Zelda rep. So I'm going to go Impa.
Impa's a good call, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like Impa has a very high chance.
I don't think we're going to get a third-party character. I just don't think it's going to work out.
I think we are.
I think if we do it, it'll be an indie. Or it'll be like someone really iconic like
I think
But I
think
also
there's
think
too
it'll be
much
at
hype.
the end.
Yeah.
I think there's too much hype around third parties right now.
Looking at these two lists, I'm going to give you also one wild card crazy pick where if you could choose any of these characters on this list to be in the game, who would you want in the game outside of like your standard choices?
So like not like the one we voted for.
Yeah.
All right. You go.
I'm going to pick Malo from Pushmo.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good choice, though.
Just because, I mean, the character's been in 3 games. I mean, you have a unique move set of creating blocks and pulling and pushing blocks, and it's a sumo. So that's what I'm going with.
And then, Mike, what are you going to go with?
Jeez. This is... well... Oh, jeez. This is tough.
Right? I mean, it is tough.
Alright, you go first.
Lanky Kong! Put Lanky Kong in the game! The trolliest of trolls! Put Lanky Kong in the game. Lanky Kong or Groose? Lanky Kong or Groose?
Groose would be good.
Groose would be funny as heck. I would love
it would be like the Groose is loose on his, like,
oh my god!
Opening thing.
Dude, it'd be so good. The Groose is loose.
Alright, so... Wild card pick... It's gotta be Monita.
Monita from Nintendo Land. That's a good choice too. I could see them, if Monita gets in the game, I could see them doing something really interesting with her and maybe like attaching her onto a bigger robot.
Yeah.
Like maybe grafting her head onto like a giant mechanical Ridley. Oh my god, that would be so funny. If they for Monita's Final Smash, she summons one of the giant like animatronic things from Nintendo
Ridley
Land.
was in Nintendo Land.
Yeah, she summons animatronic Ridley. Would be so cool. I would love that. And then you could fight his animatronic Ridley. That'd be a cool way to like circumvent and get him in the game. That'd be really cool.
There we go.
That'd be interesting.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Stealth, Mike, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Stealth with 3 underscores on Twitter.
Look for me.
You're crazy, Mike. All right, and by the way, one last thing to those of you guys who are watching the video, if you have not already, my Xenoblade giveaway, where I'm giving away a new Nintendo 3DS, a Shulk Amiibo, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, ends in a mere 3 days. Get your votes in right now. I will put links to that in the description below, as well as links to my co-hosts on this discussion's channels. I will put those in the description as well. And I guess until next time, I will talk to you guys later. Bye!
Here we go.
Perfect.